Buongiorno, everybody. Today, you're here in Dorina's kitchen doing something we don't usually do. A little nod to another culture. So tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. I'm sitting here laughing already. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. And I don't know how many of you know. I think those of you that are Italian already know this. But if you're not, you may not know that St. Patrick was Italian. He was born somewhere in the British Isles of Roman parents. That means his blood was Italian. Just saying. It's probably why the Italians and the Irish get along so well, I think. Anyway, so we're going to nod a little bit to the mixture of Italian and Irish today. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have some Baileys. But guess what? I've brought this on before, and of course I'm always going to show it again. This is Bailey's Espresso cream. It's when they invited the Italians in and made it, of course, it doesn't want me to come in. There we go. Oh, yes. It's just a little darker in color than the average Bailey's Irish cream. So figure, you know, Italians and Irish. It's good stuff. It's really good in your coffee, but it's also good on ice. So we're going to start by cheering to St. Patrick tomorrow. May he bless us all. Oh, that is so good. Some years ago, I created a recipe for probably one of the best sandwiches you'll ever have. Or at least on St. Patrick's Day. So yes, my husband likes corned beef. But honestly, I'm not a big fan of corned beef and cabbage. And the way, I'm sorry my Irish friends, but boiling stuff just doesn't cut it for me. Gotta add some flavor to it. So what I did was I Italianized my corned beef dish. So first off, I did buy some corned beef. I have not brined my own corned beef. It's not really an Italian thing. I've never done it. But one of these days I will. But in the meantime, I bought some lower sodium. This is much better. And then I rinsed it off. So, you know, corned beef is really, really salty. So if you want to try to be a little bit healthier and still keep up with tradition, even though it's only once a year, and you say, oh, it's only once a year. But you know what? Why not have something that tastes good and still a little better for you, and you can have 2 sandwiches. So I got some lower sodium corned beef brisket. So I've already made the corned beef because it does take some hours to cook. And so what I did was I got 3 small corned beefs. A pound and a half to 2.5 pounds. I've got one here on the stovetop that you can see here, like a pot roast. I've got one here in the crock pot, low and slow, and I've got one in the oven. Now I also made them 3 different ways, so I'm going to tell you and share with you what I put in each one. If you want to write it down, I will put it eventually on my blog. I'll try to do it today if I can. But anyway, the one in the crock pot, I did the traditional corned beef way. I put in beer, and then where the beer didn't fit, you know, 1 whole beer. This is a 2-pound corned beef in there. I put in 1 whole beer, and then I filled the rest with water. I put in the packet of spices that comes with the corned beef. That's like the mustard seed and all those other types of corned beefy spices. And let's see. Ooh. And then, of course, I put a little black pepper because I like black pepper. The one on the stovetop, I did another traditional way. I did it with broth. So I had, you know, you can use beef, chicken, or vegetable broth. And that I put in another spice of my own, though. I put in, we'll call this one my modern one. I put in, because it's a piece of beef, I put in my Sunrise Cowgirl coffee rub and a good amount of it. To try my new FreshJax Spice. Actually, I've tried it already. Can you see it's gone already? But I put a bunch of this in there, as well as some black pepper, and that's it. I did that one, simply. And in this, the Irish one, I did throw some little potatoes in there. The one in the oven, I did Italian style. I put in some garlic. I put in some fresh rosemary. I put in some red wine, and I put in a big pinch of my Italian mix that is all the greens, you know, so basil, parsley, oregano, a little bit of thyme, garlic, and crushed red pepper. So So this is a really nice mix. So I put a big bunch of that in with the fresh rosemary and garlic and red wine. So we're gonna try it 3 different ways and 3 different cooking methods and 3 different recipes. And then I'm going to show you how we make these awesome bread sandwiches. Listen to me. I've got rolls rising behind me. They're going in the oven in a minute. By the time we're done, we're gonna have a fresh hot roll and an awesome sandwich. So in the meantime, the way I Italianize my corned beef sandwich is, I don't know if you see it, you guessed it, not cabbage, broccoli rabe. So this is mine, all mine. This is corned beef and broccoli rabe sandwich. Awesome. And I'm telling you, I used to make these at my restaurant. People went crazy over it. I was like, we're gonna mix the Italians with the Irish. So really quickly here, I'm just gonna chop up, not chop them too small because I want them to kind of stay. So I've got my pan right here. We're gonna cook our broccoli rabe really quickly. I'm gonna put a little olive oil in here. Another little bit. And then we're gonna throw in some garlic. So I'm just gonna rough chop this. I want the garlic to stay kind of big, but you can do it however you like. If you want it smaller, I like it in like, on a sandwich, I like it in slivers. You can kind of see it and get a little bite of it now and then. That was about 3 good sized cloves of garlic. Let those sizzle for a minute and chop up the rest of this real quick. Let's see if I can get it all in. If not, I'll do it in 2 batches later. Okay, those are just turning golden. So really quickly, listen for the sizzle. It's one of my favorite things. Gently toss this in the oil. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, turn it down just a little, and I'm going to put the lid on it. Let's have a little, half a cup of water ready. I'm going to let this cook for a minute, and then I'm just going to put a little teeny bit of water in it. So I love the stems, and the stems are phenomenal if they're cooked. But it is harder to cook them, and I don't want to cook it so long that the whole thing turns that, you know, ucky green. So I put a little water in there, actually about a 1/4 cup of water, and then we're gonna let it steam for a minute. So while that's steaming, we're gonna get ready here to check on some of these corned beefs and see which one's ready. I put them all in at about 8 o'clock this morning, but I've had them on low. So we're gonna check and see the oven. I put it on 400 for like 10 minutes just to get it nice and warm, and then I dropped it to 275. This is the crock pot's on high, but that's not really that high because it's, you know, it's a crock pot. And on the stove, I had turned it on, just brought it to a boil, then I turned it down to low. So that's what I did for the 3 methods. Okay, so let's take a peek, because as soon as I take the one out of the oven, that's going up to 400 and gonna cook my rolls. So I'm gonna leave this in here open for a minute. I'm gonna turn this up. So this is how you do things, just so you know. When you're doing multiple things, sometimes you have to time. What if I was having a big party, but I wanna cook my bread, but I need something in there cooking low and slow. So I get that in first. I'm gonna crank my oven up to, you know, 450 now for the bread, but I'm just gonna leave that in there while it's warming, and then I'm gonna take it out. It's pretty much ready. So that's gonna warm up for a minute. We're gonna check on the broccoli. So this is how we're, you know, playing with all the different things. Oh, my broccoli rabe is almost ready. Let that just stand there on low for a few more minutes. So now let's check the one on the stovetop. Oh, nice. And soft. Now the one on the stovetop here, what I did with this one is I tried to sear. You know, it's funny, I think the brine keeps it from really searing. I don't know why. I mean, I'd rinsed it off, I dried it off, and I put a little oil in the bottom of this pot, and I tried to sear it. It got a little teeny bit golden around the edges, but it didn't really get that good. You know, I was trying to see if I could get like a crust on it, you know, a little different than normal corned beef. If I'd have probably gone maybe a little higher on my high burner, maybe a little longer, but I really wanted to get it cooking, so it got a little bit of a sear on it. Now this one, stereotypical, it was completely covered. Let's check on, this one is beer and typical corned beef seasonings. This one's a little, not quite as soft as these two yet, but that was one of the bigger ones. That's a 2-pound one in there. So I have here, so back when I used to have my restaurant, I used to make these bigger sandwich rolls. Usually if you guys have ever seen me make rolls here, they're smaller, like dinner rolls. So these are sandwich rolls, and I will tell you this, when I make it, this is the perfect size sandwich roll. If you're gonna weigh it out, so to speak, to see how much they're about 140 grams a piece, 139, 141, but average 140 grams each roll. So as I cut the dough and shape it, I just throw it on my scale for a quick second, make my little ball, and put it on the thing. So what I did this morning was I made some whole wheat. They're, you know, the half white, half whole wheat. And I made some white with my organic. This is all organic, white, organic wheat. So I made some white, some wheat. And both of them are 140 grams each. So that one's off. That's just right. I'm still gonna put the stems on the bottom, kind of cover them with all the leaves, because this is hot, so it's still gonna cook. And if I want something to get soft, it'll be the, you know, that versus the leaves. Okay, bread's in the oven. Woohoo! And this now we're gonna let rest for a second. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this out right now. I'm gonna take the piece of meat out, and I'm gonna sit it on here and let it rest, but I want you to see, oh my goodness. Now I've got a lot of juice in here, so if you wanna be a little more untraditional, you can take this and make a beautiful gravy out of it. You can save it for now. You could just freeze this as it is. You know, once it cools off, put it in a container, put it in the freezer, and you can use it to make a gravy of sorts for any other meal that you're gonna have, whether it's a corned beef or not. It would still make a great gravy. Or even like you can strain it and make like a beautiful stock out of it. So now I have organic cornstarch. That's really important. So I have a little bit of mixed red wine, a little water, and I'm gonna put some cornstarch in here. 2 teaspoons. Okay, so this pan, we're gonna put some of this broth in here. And we're gonna strain it, because this is gonna be really awesome on the sandwich. We've got this, it's already warm, so I don't even need to put too much of this in. I mean, now you know about cornstarch, always mix it with something cold before you mix it with something hot. If you just throw it in the hot, it's gonna make clumps. Oh, this is nice. See how it's coating? Well, it's already kind of thickened. Let it cook for another minute and it will thicken a little bit more. That on top of the meat that's gonna go into the sandwich is gonna be awesome. All right, I think this is rested. It's been about 8 minutes. Usually a good 10 minutes is good, but this is fine. So I'm just kind of gonna cut oh my goodness, look at how pretty this is. And I'm gonna cut these really thin. Just do it really slow, and you always wanna go across the grain. We're gonna let the second one sit out and rest a little. Now see this one, the grain you can see is going this way, so we're gonna end up cutting it this way. It definitely cooks quick enough if you put it on the stovetop or in the oven, if you just, you know, start hot and then drop it. The crock pot definitely has to go longer because it never gets really hot, even to begin with, unless you want to like sear it in a pot or start the liquid in a pot and then put it in the crock pot and get it started that way. But you know, crock pot, usually when I use the crock pot, I do it the night before. My goodness, you can, that's the one I used the, my Sunrise Cowgirl coffee rub on. That's what I'm tasting. Oh, wow. It's like got this, more of a smokiness to it. I'm just gonna do a little dip in the gravy here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good. Now I'm gonna make a gravy with this one. It's in here, it's been still cooking. Let me see here. This one doesn't really have, it has a little bit of meat bits in the bottom, so I'm gonna go ahead and not strain that one. A little bit of broth, literally had 1 teaspoon left of broth in the bottom of the bottle. I'm just going to cornstarch that one up, using a fresh spoon to go in the cornstarch. Now this one looks more like a brown gravy. You know, it's a brown color. As that cooks up. This one has the color of a dark red wine. Almost looks like a blood pudding. It's really yummy. So this is nice and thick now, you can see. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some slices of this meat. We're gonna put a little bit of that gravy, whichever one goes with which meat, on top. And then we're gonna top it with some broccoli rabe, which has been sauteed, obviously. You saw in olive oil, good extra virgin olive oil that has flavor, and garlic and a little salt and pepper. I'm gonna let those crisp up a little more. But me, I like a nice softer roll. Whoop, whoop, look at a nice brown bottom. Now this is a half whole wheat roll. All right, so we're gonna do the Italian one first. So first thing I'm gonna do is just trim off, because this had a big piece of fat on it, but I left it on while it was cooking, because that's, of course, where some of your flavor comes from. Well, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's do this. We're gonna take a couple pieces here, put them on there. Now watch this. We're just gonna do this the cool way. We're gonna just dip it in the sauce. And then we're gonna take some broccoli rabe. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. Oh, you know, let's just put a little teeny bit of this on the top there. Look at this sandwich. I just have to show you up close. Oh, can you see this? You've got this beautiful red corned beef with the broccoli rabe, and then a nice roll. Look at that. Is that like scrumptious looking? I think so. So, today is a great day to bring cultures together, bring them to your table, share things from one to the other and mix them together like this, or have lunch Italian and dinner Irish or vice versa. But whatever you do, bring your heritage to the table. It's really, really important, because these are the things that we identify. They give us identity. Everybody clings to identity. So what happens when we don't have any culture to fall back on, like me being Italian? Well, then I might join some club, and all of a sudden I'm like, what? The Knitters Club of America, and all of a sudden my entire identity is knitting. But none of us are just one thing. But when you have an identity that engulfs more of you, then I can knit, and I can cook, and I can sew, and I can ride bikes, and I can garden, or whatever. You know, I mean, there's so much more that comes from your culture than does from some club that you join, just so that you have an identity and some friends to connect with. So you connect on one level, but you don't connect on a lot more levels. I'm gonna have this sandwich test tasted in front of you all by the King Test Taster himself. He's been working in his hovel dungeon over here. This is my hubby.
Hello.
Here, give me this. You're gonna have to, this is the Italian version, but then you gotta test taste. The Irish one's not done. This is the Italian, and this is the cowgirl. But that's the Italian sandwich.
Okay.
The Italian-Irish sandwich.
Huh. It's good.
Just good?
Really good.
She thinks. Want some something to wash it down with, some Irish Italian? We can share cups, you know. We share everything else.
It's good.
Yep.
What's the old one?
Okay, so now you gotta taste this one. It's like butter. It melts. It's a different flavor.
It's good. One's really good.
Okay, so he's partial to the Italian, you know. But then again, that's why you took me. Yeah? I really like this cowgirl rub.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's I made two different gravies there. So this one, I dipped the meat in the gravy, in the Italian gravy, which is the red wine base right here. And this one is the cowgirl rub.
They're all good.
Well then, see, no matter what you do. Oh, you're taking it now, huh? Good thing I already took a picture. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day today. I hope you have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. You know, Mr. Spoiled here is going to definitely have a wonderful day because we've got corned beef till whenever. And that's that. So please do try this, though. Aside from all my joking about the, you know, it's not a joke that St. Patrick was Italian, but beside all my teasing of my Irish friends that St. Patrick was Italian, this is really a good recipe, and it is so. The corned beef and the Brooklyn Rabe go really, really well together. The bitterness of the Brooklyn Rabe and the brine, I don't know, it just goes well. So give it a try, especially if you're half Irish and half Italian. So. Salud. Have a good day. Mwah. Ciao.